Welcome to the presentation on metaphor and analogy at Upanishad. A metaphor is a figure of speech that implicitly compare two unrelated things, typically by stating one thing is another. Metaphors can be used to create vivid images, exaggerate a characteristic or action, or express a complex idea. Analogy is a comparison that explains or illustrates a point. All these can be found in plenty at Upanishads. Let us enjoy a few. The student will come across in the text that knowledge is secret. Many authors have clarified that. It doesn't mean that knowledge cannot be given to others. It only means that it may be beyond our comprehension and hence an experienced teacher is required. In fact, the knowledge is open to anyone who wants to know. Various Upanishads emphasizes on three important qualities for a student. Viveka, the capacity to discriminate between good and bad. Vairagya, the spirit of detachment and ethical perfection as stated through Satsampati. The Taittiriya Upanishad at 1.11.1 gives an elaborate convocation address by the teacher to the students who have completed Gurukula, universities of those days. Upanishad teaching does not prevent anyone from the wealth of knowledge. This brings out the game of two contradictory ideas, dharma like adharma and adharma like dharma. In the story of Nachiketa, his father performs a sacred ritual where he gives away all his possession to attain spiritual bliss. However, he only gives away his old cow. The cow has eaten grass for the last time, drank water for the last time, and barren, indicating the poor health of the cow given as a gift, which is adharma, made to appear like dharma. This metaphor is from Kathopanishad, chapter 1, mantra 3. The river analogy is a popular analogy. A flowing river loses its identity at the ocean, losing its name and distinct origin and forms. One can notice how the river doesn't cling to the past or hold on to the water that has already passed by. It gracefully accepts each moment as it comes, allowing its water to flow freely even though each river has a distinct personality of its own. The flowing river analogy is a powerful way to remind the impermanent nature of the worldly attachments. It encourages to let go of the attachments and embrace the continuous flow of life with equanimity and acceptance. Similarly, a wise person, free from all his worldly identifications or attachments, will go on to the highest supreme divinity. Mundaka Upanishad, section 2, mantra 8 elaborates this aspect. Shweta Shatara Upanishad, chapter 1, shloka 5 also talks about rivers that contains the water of 5 streams to explain the 5 organs of perception, the 5 subtle and gross elements of this world, the 5 physiological functions of human being, and the 5 stages of life known as the 5-fold perception. Interesting, indeed, the life, river in which humans find themselves. In this analogy, the storyline is very simple. A man walks along a path at night and sees a snake blocking his way. He then carefully examines the same path with light and finds a coiled rope on the ground. He realizes he mistook the rope for a snake in the dark. This is yet another popular analogy, mainly in Advaita doctrine. The snake and the rope analogy illustrates how ignorance, avidya, creates illusion, leading one to mistake the false for the true reality, emphasizing the importance of true knowledge. The essence to show that ignorance makes us mistake one thing for another. The analogy is popular in Advaita doctrine, that ultimate reality is Brahman and all else is illusion, and to prove that Atma and Brahman are one and the same thing. This analogy appears in many Upanishads and also at Bhagavatam. The simple idea is that a rope in the dark is mistaken as a snake through ignorance and hence the fear. But when the light of knowledge shines, revealing the rope, the snake ceases to exist along with the fear attached to it. The snake and the rope analogy challenges the mind on various aspects, such as seeing what is not there, seeing what is in the mind, seeing what is elsewhere, seeing what is different, seeing and remembering, fusion of two aspects. Sure, it will challenge the act of seeing itself. However, any and every kind of practice that can help get rid of the snake is the right practice. An interesting metaphor. According to Taittiriya Upanishad, all creatures are born from food, survive on it, and eventually return to it. In a nutshell, people are a result of the essence of food. Food is sometimes referred to as universal medicine because it is the oldest of all being. Section 2, Shloka 1 of Taittiriya Upanishad. The Upanishad indicates that Annamaya Kosha as the sheath of physical body, which is nourished by food, emphasizes on food as the universal medicine. All beings of the world are born out of food. Excessive food consumption reflects the individual's eating habits and ultimately affects the eater. One can enjoy the statement, live on food, return to food in Taittiriya Upanishad. The symbolism of two birds. The tale of two birds is well brought out by many ancient and later teachers at Mundaka Upanishad. This emphasizes the need to recognize our divine nature. This Upanishad illustrates the relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma using the analogy of two birds sitting on a tree. The birds are inseparable companions that live on the same tree. The tree represents the physical body. These two birds' symbolism also illustrates how the ego and the soul live together in the same body, no matter which body they take on. In the Upanishad, it is said that there are two birds sitting on the same bough, one of which feeds, another looks on. This is an image of a mutual relationship of infinite being and finite self. This is to emphasize the need to recognize our divine nature and detach ourselves from worldly distraction. The two-bird parable is in fact Vedic in its origin, belonging to Rig Veda itself. 1:164:20. Birds are often used in Upanishads to teach or illustrate concepts such as rote learning like a parrot, knowing without comprehending, focusing on the material world, going above and beyond what is needed, and relying on school-bound information. Taittiriya and Mundaka Upanishad introduces these principles. Which path to take? Southern path, northern path. The sun has two paths. Northern means more sunlight, which is the source of life, symbol of knowledge. The southern path indicates the symbol of enjoyment, samsara. Moon sustains life and sun is a source of life, symbol of knowledge. In Prashna Upanishad, the northern path is the path of knowledge, brahmacharya, tapas, shraddha, while the southern path is the path of sun, which is followed by those who desire offsprings. It may be noted that the northern path is characterized as a significant spiritual journey across various texts. The Prashna Upanishad also includes symbolic mythological assertions, such as the sun racing in the sky, in a chariot with 7 wheels and 6 spokes. The 7 wheels represent the seasons, months, days, nights, and muhurats, while the 6 spokes represents the Vedic practices of describing the sun having 6 seasons. We come to spider analogy. This is with reference to creation, as a spider projects and draws back itself into the web. From the imperishable comes out the universe. What is created also goes back. A lot to reflect on the subject. This is from Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.7. The spider analogy is used in Mundaka Upanishad to illustrate the relationship between the manifest and the unmanifest aspects of existence. The analogy is also used in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and Shvetashatara Upanishad. The spider analogy in Mundaka Upanishad is in verse 1.1.7. The analogy compares the spider's creation of its web to the emergence, sustenance, and dissolution of the universe. The analogy also explains how the immortal is the source of all created things. The inverted tree or the Aswatha tree is a concept in Katha Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita that describes the material world as a tree with its roots in the divine and its branches in the material world. It is also referred as family tree, a very simple explanation rooted in the truth and nourishment from the top, not the geometrical top. This in order to point out the unseen cause for the seen. A very important concept a student should note, literally a universal family free from the roots of the creation. This is referred in both Katha Upanishad 2.3.1 and in Bhagavad Gita. The inverted tree has also been interpreted by many ancient teachers as the journey of the soul, where the soul descends from the Godhead into the material world. The soul's descent is represented by the movement of the sap down the tree, from the trunk to the branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers. The opposite direction is where the soul ascends to dissolve and return to infinite. In various Upanishads, the student always goes to the teacher with respect, invariably with pieces of wood, symbolically to show that they are prepared to receive further knowledge from the Guru. There is fire in the wood, but cannot be seen. But where is it? Every part of the wood. Similarly, Paramatma is in the human body. Where is he? He is in the cave of the heart. Cave, because it is inside the sheath. Why heart? Heart is considered to be the location of human aspects of humanity. This is a metaphor that has many explanations, from simple to complex concepts. An important concept to show the path of the student. Brahman is the material cause of the world. It is explained by various metaphors. For example, mud is the material cause of the pot. If we know the mud, we know all the materials made of the mud. Similarly, gold is the material cause of the ornaments. Ornaments can be identified by different names, but they are gold. Similarly, ocean is the material cause of the waves. Similarly, Brahman is the material cause of the universe. The Upanishads, including the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and the Katha Upanishad, describe the subtle body or the Sukshma Sharira as a concept. The Taittiriya Upanishad describes 5 koshas or the sheaths that are interpenetrating level of subtlety. The Anandamaya or bliss body is the subtlest level. Subtler than the subtlest. This phrase describes the divine essence as being more refined and transcend than material existence. It can also refer to the Atma or individual soul as being more intricate than the intellectual understanding. Katha Upanishad verse 1, 3, 10 describes subtle seers as those who can see the subtlest because they are subtler than the senses. There are 5 basic elements. Student will come across this at many Upanishads. From space, air is born. From air comes fire. From fire, water. From water comes plants and humans. This is also stated in various Upanishads. Here, the 5 elements are arranged in the order of their subtlety. Space is the subtlest, which is highlighted in Taittiriya Upanishad. According to the Upanishads, the concept of spirituality is being, not merely knowing, is the best reflected in the idea of self, where true spiritual understanding is not just intellectual knowledge but a deep realization of one's oneness with the universal consciousness, achieved through the practices like meditation and self-inquiry. A prominent example of this phrase, Aham Brahmasmi, from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, beyond intellect. The Upanishad emphasizes that true spiritual knowledge goes beyond mere intellectual understanding and requires a direct experience of the self. Achieving this being state is facilitated through practices like meditation, which allows one to transcend the limitations of the mind and connect with the deeper reality. This concept is well explained by the ladle analogy. The ladle or the vessels does not know or enjoy the taste of the food, even though it is used for cooking many times. Similarly, spirituality is being, becoming, not mere knowing. One may not know the essence of the teachings, even after studying the scriptures many times. Just like the ladle, it is a very important message from the Upanishad. Isha Upanishad gives a very important message to the students who have completed their studies that with Vidya they have a great responsibility to censure avidya, to overcome ignorance. It is a great responsibility stated by the scriptures, responsibility towards the society. We end this presentation with a convocation address. The convocation address in Taittiriya Upanishad is a speech given by a guru to his students during the graduation from a Gurukul. The address, Chapter 1, Section 11, at Siskavali, includes the advice how to live life, considering society, teachers, earlier generations, laws of giving, duty and conduct, and many other virtues. The address ends with a prayer for peace. The phrase peace is repeated 3 times because of 3 different obstacles in gaining self-knowledge: a student's own behavior, behavior of others, and the devas. Hope you all enjoyed some of the metaverse and analogy and from various Upanishads. There are many more and we will see some more in the subsequent presentation. Thank you for listening.